happening. Today happens to be World Teachers Day, and we on the Big Question this morning are celebrating Nigerian teachers as nation builders. That's going to be the conversation this morning, and I have the rare privilege of being joined in the studio this morning by Caroline Monye, who happens to be an English teacher. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Yes, and also the executive member, National Association of Proprietaries and Proprietaries of Private Schools, Ogun State, Mr. Ayodele Chukunwa Isibo.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for your time. And first and foremost, I'd like to celebrate both of you and use you as point of contact to other teachers and saying Happy Teachers Day to all of you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Happy Teachers Day, everybody. If you're a teacher out there.
Yes, that is very, very important.
But we're not happy.
Exactly, we're not happy because you're not being treated well.
Oh, that's one of the reasons why we're having this conversation. But then I'd like to start off let me start with Caroline this morning. As a teacher, what was your experience like starting off? How did you decide that this was what I wanted to do?
For me, it wasn't my dream to become a teacher because I never studied education. But as time goes on, life with I had the last option to go into teaching.
Okay.
Though initially I never had a flair for it, but then I went into it because I needed the money initially.
At the beginning.
Yes. So when I went into teaching, I started teaching, and then at time when I started relating with those children, I started breeding interest, I started having interest in it, and before you know it, it was something that started coming out of me that I can do it. I can stay with those kids. They really need me. So I started developing the interest. And now this is my 8 years of being a teacher.
8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
It's fun, though it's not so easy. It's been challenging there and there, but thank God we're in.
All right, that's important. For you, Mr. Ayodele, have you had to teach?
Yeah, of course. My first time of teaching was in 1991 during my NYC. It's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago.
And you can see from the weight of experience I've developed over the years.
Yes. What was that experience like, and how did you now say, oh, this was a line I think I want to channel my energy into?
Yes, in the very first place, for some people, teaching is natural.
Okay.
Some people, teaching is natural.
Okay.
You cannot do without it, because even when you're in the universities, somebody come and say, hey, what do you say about this topic? You start teaching your colleague.
Yes.
And if you're able to teach your colleague and they're able to know it very well, it means you have the repository in you. You can always do it anytime, any day, call upon.
Yes.
So when I started with the NYC, and I was teaching in one federal government college school. In fact, I was one that even brought up their computer center. All the kids were, look, we have not seen computers before. They were so happy, very elated. And I keep teaching them. Even on Saturdays, they even want to come. Even on prep, they want to come. You understand? And I said, wow, that means, I won't say I'm the best teacher, but I think whenever I teach, students listens and they love it and they like it. And when you feel, you have the feel in you that the people you are imparting this thing to love it, they like it, they want to have more, you keep going. That was my own aspiration at that time.
I appreciate that this morning. The phone us over this on this conversation also this morning is also we're having an educationist join us over the telephone this morning, Ibinabo Dixon. Good morning to you, Ibinabo.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much, Ibinabo. So in the studio, Ibinabo, we have Caroline and also Ayodele join us in this conversation with regards to World Teachers Day. And the conversation we're having on the radio is teachers as nation builders. From an educational perspective, which you have played in for a long time, what's your overview of Nigerian teachers?
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a journey. It's been very interesting. But then again, like we always say that teachers' remuneration are given to them in heaven, but that should be an old thing, because everybody all on earth, and we expect that to whom much is expected of, much should be given. So I would say that teachers have come a long way. They have done a lot, and I was inspired by my teachers because they were very good, right from my primary school to secondary school and to tertiary institutions. So I would say that teachers are fair, but the problems we have is infrastructure, facilities. They are lacking. It's frustrating. I heard someone mentioned setting up a computer department in a school. You can imagine, assuming you're a computer, you teach computer in your school, and you don't have a computer to teach the children with. So you understand the frustration of teachers. There are no facilities to aid in teaching. This is quite frustrating, not to talk of teacher salaries and other adequate, infrastructures to further enhance the teaching of our students. So that the government, as the NET has been agitating, ASU has been agitating, I hope that the government will give them listening ears.
Okay, amen. We hope that the government would do the needful. But let me come to my guest in the studio this morning, and you can also be part of this conversation. If you're a teacher, you're listening, the phone line is 07000 917 917. I would like to look at some of the plights. When the coronavirus pandemic started, how much... I know it had a lot of effect on teachers, because one of the people that were drastically hit by the coronavirus pandemic were teachers. I totally understand that. I have a few friends who also own schools, and they were sharing the difficulties of how they struggled with even informing the teachers that they had to slash their salaries, and that was one issue. But for you as a teacher, Caroline, how did this coronavirus?
Let me use the word her, because that period for 6 months I was off salary.
6 months.
Yeah, there was no salary. No money anywhere. No parents wanted you to even come and teach your children because they don't even have the money. So you can imagine you are off salary, you're off finances, you are depending on relations, family to give you palliative to be able to earn. You can't go anywhere. You're just stagnant in one position. You can't move forward. You can't even think. Reading wasn't even interesting anymore. Everything just went sour. You can imagine the life then was like, wow, this is a new chapter altogether. Like I'm seeing a new phase in my life. I've never experienced such in me before. Being 6 months, no salary, no food, nothing. You have to call people. You have to seek for help. You have to tell people, oh, please help me and all that. It was crazy. Let me use the word. But then, I just thank God. But I tell you, it's not funny.
It was pretty tough. Now, as an executive member of the National Association of Proprietaries and Proprietaries in how much effect did this have on school owners? Definitely, we know school owners were paying that. Nobody was paying school fees. But beyond just this, how was the ability to adapt? Because everybody moved to digital platforms. Everybody moved virtually. Was it every school that was able to do this?
Yeah, thank you. Number one, moving online was new to almost everybody. But for some schools that have been, like our own school, from day one, we've been emphasizing on e-learning, e-notes. We do it in school. So it was very easy for us to quickly adapt to that system.
Okay.
But mind you, this so-called coronavirus will be on for a long time. In future, it could have worse than this. Okay. So everybody now must be on the adaptation mode.
Okay.
You must be able to marry both in-person learning and e-learning now. And that's what we're trying to do ourselves. Maybe on weekend, we'll still be continuing to do some e-facility. Try to beat what happened in the 6 months past. We had never imagined it to happen. We went through Ebola, nothing like this happened. And I think it's our time government should also try and before you carry out a decision, put everybody on board, because there could have been what we should have done differently from the way it was handled the last time. And I look at it now, up till now, most schools are still on debt. This very moment, I remember about 3 proprietors called me. Did you see anybody who submitted CV? I've lost some teachers. Yes, why won't you lose teachers? How can you, for 6 months, somebody had no means of livelihood, is expected to go to the hospital. He or she is also expected to feed in the public. You lock down, especially private teachers were the most hit. And let's be frank about it. Government should find a way to do this thing in the future. They should be able to ameliorate the plight of the private teacher mostly. Okay. Why am I saying so? Look at the population of teachers in Nigeria. Private school constitute over 60%. You have teachers, able mother, able father, who could not feed their family. In fact, as I was telling you, I had a principal of a school who lost his wife during the period because he could not afford medication for simple typhoid. And we're now looking at it. And I look at it generally in the whole world. The plight of teacher is heavy. In Nigeria, let me be frank with you, there are some schools, on the average now, the lowest salary for a teacher is about 10,000 naira. 10,000 naira times 12, that's 120 in a year. How much is that in dollars? We're talking about $300 for a human being. That means that person lives on $1, less than $1 per day. And this is the same person that will come and teach your children to be doctors, to be engineers. Let's look at it. Take statistics worldwide.
Okay.
The highest paying country, like I love statistics, that's my life, so that's what I do. You look at the highest paying countries in the world, like Luxembourg. Luxembourg is a very small place in Europe. The minimum they pay their teacher, check it, it's on the net, $75,000. And the highest about 124. And you look at Canada, you look at America itself, $39,000 minimum annually, and 67. Why the lowest paid maybe Nigerian teacher in one private school is $300 per annum? It's humiliating, it's derogating. It is. I can't feel what I can feel again. No matter how you look at it, Nigerian teachers are the worst off in the whole of this world.
In terms of payment.
In terms of payment, in terms of everything. In terms of everything. Because, number one, they earn the most peasant salary in the world. Nigerian teachers are the most downtrodden in the world. Nigerian teachers are the most humiliated in the world. Nigerian teachers are at the lowest of everything in the world. Take for example, a football coach. A teacher is like a football coach. You are paying a coach a very small salary. How do you want the performance of the coach to be, or the football team to be? It's high time we start thinking differently in this country.
Okay.
Teachers should be the number one thing. Higher. In fact, I'm even thinking what we should be doing as a teacher, come up together as a body, as a pressure group, and demand for a minimum wage which is higher than the highest minimum wage in Nigeria, because it is only a teacher that produces everybody. The teacher is the nation builder, the nurture for national development.
Agreed. I totally agree with what you're saying, Adele, this morning. But let me come to you, Binabo. Binabo, are you there with me? Yes. Yeah. So my guest here in the studio has really given us like a lot of stats with regards to that. Adele has said a whole lot with regards to the remuneration of teachers in Nigeria. But what do you think has led to this consistent decline? Because if I go back in history, and my dad would tell me, we used to have teachers from India, from foreign countries, and they were well paid. Even the headmasters, it was a thing of pride to be a headmaster of a school back then in the days of my own father. But right now, that is not the case. What has led to this consistent decline, Nabo?
Yeah, a lot of facts. For instance, the fact that teachers are not well remunerated. You see, like the last speaker said, teachers are the builders of everybody. They are the nation builders. They are the game changers. I mean, what aspect of life do you not need a teacher? You cannot be a governor without being taught by somebody. You couldn't have been the president, whether you had a university degree or not. You went through primary school. You were tutored by a teacher. So, it is so unfortunate that in Nigeria, we do not appreciate teachers. It's almost like they are viewed as peasants. Like, it's like they are begging for whatever they feel they deserve. And it is very unfortunate, because if you don't appreciate the teacher, what mindset would he or she take to the classroom to teach the students? Because you see, when you are very happy, when you are well motivated, I mean, it becomes high happiness. It will just show. Yes. And with that, if you hear it, you will take it to the classroom, and the students will love you. But when you are owing Mama car for food, you are owing somebody you are owing your rent. I mean, you are saddled with a lot of issues.
Yes.
Then your mind is everywhere, so it cannot concentrate and teach the students properly. So government should begin to realize the importance of teachers in this country.
Okay.
Just like the last one mentioned, the teachers are like you said, in those days, even the people in the community, they no longer appreciate teachers. Because then, like you said, your dad said, I remember my dad said the same thing, that in those days, even neighbors would cook and go and give a teacher.
Yeah, give a
They
teacher.
respected teachers so much. But now it's like, it's almost like a beggar. You say a teacher, she's sometimes not well dressed because she's not well paid. So it is high time government appreciate the effort of teachers, because without teachers there will be no progress.
All right.
There will be no nothing. There will be no development of any aspect of the economy, because everywhere you go to, there is need for teachers.
Thank
Even
you.
negatively, teachers are working. Trying to bring it in. Look at Boko Haram. The insurgents. Some people are teaching them negatively. You can see the power of a teacher. So teachers should not be undermined. Teachers should be respected.
Okay.
The governor of a state earns nothing less than 2 million every month. For being the governor of a state. And how much is the average teacher earning in Nigeria? It is amazing, and the government should please. I mean, it's so sickening every time there's an agitation on salary structure, salary review, and then they'll make a promise and they never fulfill the promise. If you indeed love development as a leader, you shouldn't take the effort put in by teachers for granted.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ibinabo. Teachers as nation builders is the conversation we're having this morning on the big question. And the phone line is open. I think I can take a few calls right now. 07000 917 917. 07000 917 917. And you can also send a text or WhatsApp message on 070 317 565 37 to be part of the conversation here this morning. We're talking with regards to teachers as nation builders in the society of today. Now, you gave a start, ideally, with regards to the fact that private school teachers constitute about 60% of the overall number of teachers we have in Nigeria today. Yes. And if we look at that start properly, my conversation with regards to the fact that you are part of the body, which is regards to that covers for private school owners. And as being the association, what is the relationship with the association with the NUT? Because that's the body that's supposed to cover teachers. That's the Nigerian Union of Teachers. What is the relationship between the National Association of Proprietors and Proprietaries of Private Schools with the Nigerian Union of Teachers in ensuring that there's adequate funding for teachers? Because hearing now that, I'm aware that yes, teachers are paid that low in terms of amount of money, as low as 10,000 naira in a month, and that's like looking at less than almost, if we go by what the dollar stands on right now, that's really next to nothing. What relationship are we looking at? What is there something faulty? What is fundamentally wrong with the relationship between NUT and private school owners with regards to how teachers are being paid? Because there should be a regulation to this.
Yes, thank you very much. Like in every sphere of life, in some area, you have people who are pressure group but are not synerging. The crosstalk between NUT and NAPS and some other body like STAN is next to nothing. And I'm using this medium to advocate a convergence. Let me be frank with you. You will not get better remuneration for teachers if we don't come together as one. Let me tell you one of the reasons why I said we should come together as one. Look at the accounting bodies in Nigeria. It's run. Everybody who is an accountant will probably want to do an ICANN, and they regulate and mentor that trade. Same thing with the doctors, same thing with some other like lawyers. Now, I know there is a teacher registration council, and they are what they are saddled with is to actually register teacher and be able to correct or control teaching in Nigeria. But let me be frank with you, say government agency hardly work in this country. The only way you could do it is for NUT, which is not government, which is the amalgamation of other groups, and NAPS coming together as one body and say, this is the way teaching profession, the pedagogic profession in Nigeria should be henceforth. Come in as a body, take all the teachers, do a lot of regulation, let them sit through an exam, take an exam, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. From there, tell government, this is what we want to do, meet the National Assembly and say, we need a minimum wage for teachers. It should not be left for free flowing as it is right now.
But how would this minimum wage for teachers affect private owned schools?
Oh, let me tell you, very good. Private owned school. You believe that, okay, it is what private parent pays that private school will do. But let me tell you, the country went into this regulation. Take, for example, Canada. In Canada today, government pays for every child, either the child is in public or in private schools. Nigeria is the giant of Africa, so to say. We produce the largest oil in this country, in Africa, so to say. We earn a lot of revenue in many other spheres. Look at our budget. I'm shocked to even find out that defense takes the largest portion of our budget. Why UNESCO and UN said education should be the number one budget in every country. Take the percentage of amount being spent on budget for Nigerian education. I think education should be about the 5th or the 6th in the position in Nigeria. If you change, okay, now we have the highest in defense. We are not in war. We are not in war, so to say, in quotes. If Nigeria is in war, what then will be the budget for defense? It is right time we rethink. When you get your education system right, I'm telling you assiduously, you will be the world leader. Before China came into where they are now, in China now, China is the best country for teachers in the world. Check it on the internet. It's the best country for teachers in the world. South Korea, same thing. Japan, same things. These are the leaders of the world. Because, let me take for example, in South Korea, for you to be a teacher, you need to be the top echelon of your school. The toppest person, like in Nigeria now, the first person maybe in WAEC goes into teaching. And government sponsor them. Why? Because when you are a teacher in those countries, number one, you will never bother about insurance. You are covered by the government. You will never bother about basic needs of livelihood. Apart from the fact that your remuneration is high.
Yeah.
If your child says, Daddy, I want to go into education, I'm sure you use the biggest whip to whip the sense out of him. Yes, nobody will be happy to tell you that, oh, my child said he wants to go and read education. Everybody wants to read medicine and all those things. But meanwhile, education is the only thing in life that you don't struggle with. Education is the only thing, it's a profession that you will love if you're a teacher. And so therefore, what I'm saying today is that we need to rethink the way we take education in this country.
Okay.
It has been left in the background. It's going southward every year. You said it. I know, all of us know, the most important person in those days is the village headmaster. Everybody wants his child to live in the house of a village headmaster. Because why? That guy is next to God. But now, nobody even wants to welcome a teacher. Nobody, because they believe they are the most down to the. Once you see your son's teacher coming to your house, you probably think he's coming to beg for food. And that's how Nigeria has degenerated up to you today.
Let me come to Ibnabo, because I know you advocate. The conversation this morning is Nigerian teachers as nation builders. What is the possibilities, or what do we need to, let me put my question this way, what do we need to correct in the foundation of how we have placed teachers for us to begin to see that to see these teachers that they are actually nation builders? Because the truth is, every teacher today, whether in standard or substandard schools today, are contributing their quota into nation building.
Thank you, Daniel. First off, what you don't respect, you don't appreciate. So first off, teachers should and be respected for what they do. Teachers must be appreciated for what they do. And then all the bodies, like NUT and other bodies, speaking on behalf of teachers, should do this with the unity of purpose, not as cross purpose. Because a lot of times, when there's an agitation and you lead a group of people to maybe the governor or to the minister for education or commissioner for education, you get there and then you have a closed door meeting. Then they tell you something, then you come out and the story changes. And nobody knows what has happened until we speak with one voice. until we are not moved by any backdoor arrangement, until we stand our feet that this is what teachers deserve. And then I'm speaking to parents as well. Because if we don't appreciate and support the teachers of the children, they cannot deliver optimally. So there is need for everyone to come together and support the teachers. Because if we don't, we will keep getting what we are terming half-baked students, which is not very good for our image as Nigeria. Nigeria is the largest black nation in the world. We should leverage that and, make the world see that we have all that we need. The only thing that is lacking is the government attention and their input in this sector. Once they do that, because look at the salary of a governor. It is so discouraging to a teacher. A teacher thought that governor to be there. Then we don't pay him well. We don't pay her well. She doesn't feel well. She can't take care of her home. She can't take care of his family.
That is actually worrying. That is, but let me hold your thoughts there. The phone line is ringing. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Mr. Nathan from Midaford.
Do well to help me turn down the volume of your radio. Thank you.
Is it okay now?
Yes, you can go ahead.
All right. I want to commend you for this particular topic and the program in general. You are doing a good job.
Thank you.
And the guy on the Mr. Bella, I hope I'm right.
Yes.
He is in fact giving. In fact, he is just on point. I really appreciate it. He's just giving the real picture of what the situation is right now. I think Nigeria has lost it, not just in education, in almost all angles. I don't know whether it's basically the problem of the orientation now, because education has been brought down to the lowest step, and the value and passion for education has gone down, even to the extent of the family level. People don't just care any longer because everything has been watered down. The government is doing the budget for this, they do this, they are going to do this for education. Look at this 2023 comes out now, you will hear a lot of campaign, you are going to give your children free this, free that. Most of these things are rhetoric. They are not just sincere with that stuff. And that is why things keep going this way. So until we have that seriousness, until we change our orientation, and then things may just go back to normal. Until we just go back and do a foundational thing and restructure ourselves and program ourselves for the future, I don't think there is going to be any change.
Right,
because right now, like what your case says, that's just the true picture of what is on. I'm telling you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Just before we have to wrap up this conversation right now, we're almost way out of time. I know you still have like a lot to say. Abi?
Yes, I do.
I know you have a lot to say.
This conversation cannot even end in a month.
It can't.
24 hours talking.
We will still go on with this conversation. Just before I let you go this morning, I wanted us to talk about what is being done to ensure that we're regulating the standard and quality of education, especially for private schools.
Yes. Of course, government will tell you they try to regulate deliveries in the private schools. Yes, I agree. But even without the government even doing that, the syllabuses are there to actually regulate what you are doing.
Yes.
The syllabuses are there to regulate what you are doing. So based on that one, I think the private school on their own try to regulate what they do. But let's look at it. Number one, within the private schools, there are huge competitions among themselves.
There is.
As soon as school resume, I'm telling you, you will see, like it happened this year. A child will cross to school A. Another child in that school A will cross to school B. You now wonder, 2 cross to school A, 3 cross to school B. What is the correlation? It does not have any correlation. But the truth is that there is free choice. It's a free market. Anything that is run freely on the market, on its own, will increase its capacity. On its own, will build its reputation. On its own, we want to build standard. Right now, private schools has the highest standard of education in Nigeria compared to government school. That is concrete. That is true. Nobody can actually dissuade me on that issue. Okay, so most average private schools have the highest quality. Let me tell you a fact. We took a statistics. I went to one of the Ministry of Education, I don't want to mention name, and I asked how many of their children, how many of the staff in the Ministry of Education have their children in the state primary school. It was muted, probably less than 1%. In the state secondary school, you are the custodian of education in that state. How many of the children are going to the secondary school? We're able to get 5%. How many governors have their children in public schools? We know El-Rufai did something. Let them come out and say, I am the governor, I am the commissioner of this state, and my children goes to the public school. I want to see. We want to be proven wrongly. Say, if you are the chairman of a company,
okay,
and you are not using the product of the company, forget it. That product is not standard. You cannot put the best in it. Majority of people who are politicians in Nigeria, they have their children abroad. So even if when they said they were going to close that school for 1 year, it doesn't touch them. They don't use the facility. And that's the sincere truth. And let me go a bit more further. See, with the way education has been in Nigeria, you will see that less than 2% of even a teacher even have an insurance to cover during sickness. Less than 3% of a Nigerian teacher will be their own home eventually. 93% of a teacher after leaving teaching service will depend on their children for basic needs of livelihood, food, because they receive no pension scheme mostly for teachers. And you look at these things, and you even look at the education system in Nigeria. Education system in Nigeria is being run by those people who do not even have anything to do with education. Find out. Commissioners, most likely they are not educationists. So when you get people to come into this pedagogy world and they are not part of it, how then you build a better structure? It is high time.
Yes, I have to stop you right now because we have a lot to talk about. But Ibn Abon, let me have your final words because our time is well spent this morning.
Okay, thank you. I want to look at the work because and what they are looking at.
Yes.
We're talking about reimagining the future, and there is need. There is something that we are not looking at as a government, as Nigerians, and this is the sustainable goal number 4. This is another encompassing goal on education, which is the primary and secondary inclusive quality education. You understand, for all by year 2030. Year 2030 is just 10 years away. It's not like forever. And in Nigeria, we have millions of out-of-school children. It is said that 1 out of every out-of-school child in the world is a Nigerian child. And we're still struggling with the issue of gender parity in our schools. So you see, we have a lot to do. We must push to achieve improvement in literacy and numeracy. Because all of these things, until the government takes the educational sector as a number 1 sector in the country, we will still be talking about this back and forth. Because what you do not develop, you don't want to be part of it, and they don't want their children in the school in Nigeria. Because still it is not developed, and they want top-notch future. What is it about? What is the Nigerian government doing about it? There is need for them to look into that. And all the bodies that are, about teachers, NET and other bodies, must agitate for this. Because, the job of every teacher is solid.
Thank you.
There is no joy in teaching your children and they come out, with poor results. So, at the end of the day, they are still going to push everything back to the government. They must be the needful. This education sector must be revamped from ground to top.
All right, thank you.
We will do that until we make it a number 1 project.
Yes.
We will still be saying.
Ibn Abba, I really appreciate your time this morning. I have to let you go now. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and I know I really can't ask for much anymore because of our time, but I would love us to still have this conversation all over again. I'm going to have you back and have a few more educationists look at how we can begin to drive that conversation around the demanding accountability from our leaders with regards to the educational system. I want to say a very big thank you to Caroline Moye for joining us this morning. Thank you so much. And also to Mr. Ayodele Chukwunwa Isebo.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time for coming in, and I'm
Yes,
happy
we'll always
Teachers
be
Day.
here. Until education is brought to the number one thing in this country,
Yes.
we will be here talking.
All right. Thank you very much. And at 10 o'clock will be Radio Doctor, your free health consultation radio program where real doctors advise real people. My name is Daniel Adaja. Good morning.
I beg you, where Korode? Corona dey for Lagos, Joe. Government just dey take am, they deceive people now. No Koro for anywhere. Na malaria.
Coronavirus is real. More people are dying, more are infected. Corona is still in our midst. Easing the lockdown does not mean that the fight is over. Use your mask, wash your hands, social and physical distance. Stay at home if you have no business outside. Coronavirus is real.
This not be play. Coronavirus, dey real. E get it is when we fit do to make this coronavirus